So many caregivers are thrown into this world of autism before they themselves have a chance to develop as a man or woman. And we have these beautiful little babies, which is a challenge on its own. But then we add autism onto that. And we get the feedback from the medical society, which is extremely conflicting and challenging because they're figuring it out on their own. We have society's opinions, which is often trying to put us all in the same box. And then we have our own intuition, which we lose faith in after multiple disasters happen, that we start wondering if we are making the right decisions. It's a tremendous amount of pressure. Moms and dads need care too. And although I hope to bring help to dads eventually, for now, my friend Andrea and I have come together to build a series of retreats to help bring balance back into moms' lives. And I am joined here today with my dear friend, Andrea Arlotti, and we are going to be talking about not only the retreat, but just in general, to be able to bring help and guidance and maybe a little bit of advice to help you be able to calm a little bit more and bring that balance into your own life. Now, let me tell you about my friend, Andrea. Okay, I have to look at notes for this one because what she does is amazing. She is the owner and founder of Infinite Possibilities Integration. She is a speech and language pathologist, a mind, body, trauma, and nervous system specialist, a bioenergetic healer, yoga, meditation, breath, and sound healing practitioner. And she's joining with me, who basically knows how to cook.
No, that's not only the things. We all know all of your beautiful gifts.
Well, I hope I'm going to be able to bring a little bit of laughter to it, a little bit of silliness to it. And thank you for being on the show today.
Oh, it's such an honor. I know that we've been talking about for years of how to bring the synergy of both of our passions together, and I feel like it's coming together, and I have so much joy, and
So
I just
good.
can't wait for this to unfold.
You saw it before I saw it. I was overwhelmed. That's the problem, is the people that actually know how to make these work are the people that are typically so inundated with their life that they couldn't possibly throw it together. And I'm at a great position now because my son he'll be 32 shortly. He's in his apartment, and I older and wiser and have a lot more free time. And so this was the perfect time to make this happen.
And so much wisdom to offer to so many people.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Positive breath of fresh air.
We're all learning all the time, aren't we? I feel like the last year has been my year of being humble because I have realized all the things I got wrong. And I think there will be a lot of things I continue to get wrong, but I'm still learning. And that's the fun part about this. So we're going to be throwing together all of our talents together in these retreats. And do you want to explain a little bit about how we came together as friends?
I would love to. So
You remember probably better than I do.
Oh my gosh, I think I was in my early 20s. I did a session with your husband, John.
My late husband, John, who passed away.
I don't know how to say that. Because it's not ex-husband. What do you say?
He's my
I was
late
waiting
husband.
for you to say my late husband.
He was never late, but he is. He has been passed. He actually, you won't believe this. It's been 9 years. It was last week. Was 9 years.
That's what I was
that
thinking.
He passed away. So he was a pediatrician and an MD. Obviously, to become a pediatrician, you have to be an MD. But he worked with both adults and children. So you saw him personally?
Not in person, but I did sessions with him online.
Right. Okay.
But at that time was having horrible gut issues, and so I started working with John, and I worked with him probably on and off until he passed. He helped when my children were born and helped me to guide and protect them because they had some really scary health issues early on in their life, and guided me. And I just feel like he's watching us from above and guiding us into where we're going. And then when I was going through some big life transitions, you were always on the calls, and so we always felt connected. And then after his passing, I feel like we connected even more. And you offered for me to come and visit you in San Francisco when I was going through some big life changes and just welcomed me in and set me up with a yoga practitioner and another individual.
And then we just became closer and closer over time, just keeping each other updated. And you kept saying, we're going to work together someday. We're going to work together someday. And I was like, okay, sure. Which is
We didn't
typically
know
what I say
how
when
this was
people
going to
say that to
manifest
me.
yet.
I don't typically like say no to much. So
Well,
I'm
all the
always like,
stars aligned. I know you did one of the things I did and offered help with all of your incredible nutrition to an offering I had online last
right.
year. And we were
Yeah,
like, we need to do this more. We love being together.
I know. It was I remember that. It was really, really great. So we come up with this idea for retreats, and I think it was really interesting because you and I have such different views coming in, especially because you're a practitioner and because you've worked with the parents. So, from your point of view, you've seen parents at a certain level, and what their needs are. I came in from a mom who has been desperately in need of something like this for a majority of my life, but actually had retreats when I was younger. But it's so funny. So let me talk about that a little bit, because when Joey was first diagnosed, and it was the Wild West of autism. It was just the beginning that you're hearing more and more about all these kids being diagnosed. And as I'm starting to hear more about it and realizing that I'm not really alone, back in those days, before the internet,
I
that's
was
how
going to
old
say,
I
what
am.
age was he again?
So he was 2 when he got
Okay.
diagnosed. So we're talking 30 years ago. And this is when people sometimes maybe had a computer, but it certainly wasn't used to communicate to others. There wasn't the email and all of that as much as wasn't as prevalent back then.
And even in my master's degree in speech pathology, we didn't learn about autism, which
Yeah,
is insane.
I know. To think about, right, how much newer all this information is. And so, but I would put up like little things at libraries, like let's meet, or I would put up things at health food stores, and I would gather families that way. And then we would all meet at like community centers or libraries, and we would have meetings once a month. That was the way all throughout the nation, because I traveled with my late husband all the time. That was the way that groups met, was at community centers and libraries, and maybe some like Marian Hope Center, which is one of the places that we had met through in Kansas City. And so with all of that kind of coming into fruition, we had these friendships that were face to face, where we could hug each other, where we could cry and hold each other's hand, where we could accompany each other to certain things. But now it is so isolating. And because so many parents struggle so much taking their children in public, that they get even more isolated. And yes, there's information, we can get friendships through the internet. I certainly, through so many of my followers, have developed a lot of friendships, but there is nothing like sitting somebody and being able to be in their presence and hold that space. I started hearing a bunch of moms on social media saying, I wish we could have a retreat. I wish we could all get together. And that's when I reached out and I said, I think it's time, and I think I'm ready for it, and let's do this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what do you feel is the need that you're seeing from your end of it? Because you're having these individuals come into your clinic. How is it that you're finding what they really need?
When I worked in the schools for 12 years with severe special needs, I was seeing the stress that was going on for parents. And at that time, I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. And now, working with trauma in the nervous system and supporting people who are dysregulated in their bodies, I see how important it is that we find safety within their body, that they have community and connection, and they have individuals there to guide them into how to ground themselves, how to be a co-regulator for everyone in their house. And I see the importance of that. And I've hosted retreats and just see how the synergy comes together with individuals and the group intention and the group healing, and how beautiful that is when you bring people together.
It is important. And whether or not you're able to attend one of our retreats, or you're just listening to this thinking, I wish I had the opportunity. I wish I had, whether it's the money or the break, somebody to give you a break, whatever it is. We want to help you recognize where your needs are and where maybe other ways that you can help fill in the holes of that, those deep seated needs that we all have as mothers and as women. So in putting together our retreat, let's talk about all the different things that we wanted to make sure that we included in these 48 hours
Of calm.
of calm. You get 48 hours. Clock starts now.
There you go. There you
Get
go.
calm fast. Because that is part of the problem, is that, everyone's going to be arriving. Like they had to have so many arrangements made, and then they had to travel. And it's just like that first burst of how can we help, like, bring them centered.
Well, yeah, like you said, all the stars have to align for people to show up. So this is so important, and everything will be just a beautiful immersion of gentle movement and holistic sound to calm your nervous system, guided meditation and visualizations. We're in a beautiful spot, at least for this first one. I know we're planning some others, but in nature, there's going to be quiet time where people can read or rest, take a nap, go for a walk. And we're just going to really be guiding people to honor their nervous system, to calm their nervous system. And then you're going to be blessing everyone with your gifts. And so tell us a little bit about your food, because I'm already excited about that, and I get to partake in that.
I'm excited for it. So I love to cook for big groups, and I cook with very farm to table, tremendous amount of love, the best of ingredients. I'll be sourcing in, or I might actually bring my own meat in a cooler from locally, because I'm so particular about my meats. Everything will be very much made from scratch as much as possible. And I'm going to try to do a few things before I get there. But part of the reason I am going to cook while I'm there is I want anybody who would like to join me in the kitchen, who wants to learn how to make certain things, to be able to have that side of it too. Because we nourishing our body is something that, a way that we can take care of our body every single day. And we tend to, as mothers in general, take a back seat in getting everybody else fed and not really looking at the nourishment for ourselves. So I'll teach a little bit about nutrition in general, and I'll get in there, and like anybody who wants to join me in the kitchen can learn a few things. But I also want to make a couple things really clear with retreats and such as well. There are a lot of autism conferences out there, and you could attend autism conference. I'm really wanting to attend an autism conference for spellers, because I think that would be an amazing opportunity to connect with others, spelling families and such as that. There's lots of different conferences that you could go to, and there is a time and place for that. It is very different than what we're trying to do. When you go to a retreat and you're just talked to about the one thing you're trying to step away from, that's where you lose me. Like, I don't want to go to a retreat for myself as a mom, as a woman, as a caregiver. And if I'm trying to help my nervous system, the last thing I want to talk about is autism. Like, sure, it's going to come up. Of course, we're going to talk about certain little things that we do and nuances and ideas of things that work and all of that. And I'm going to be talking about some nutrition stuff as well. But it is not here to jam more information down your head.
No, this is self-compassion, self-care, nourishment for your body, mind, and soul. And when you were talking about the foods, I am, being a bioenergetic healer, frequency and vibration is just so important for our bodies in so many ways. And what we're going to be feeding our bodies with the colors, and learning more about how do we support our bodies in that way, with putting amazing food into our bodies, but also that holistic sound and being in nature and all of those things, because the frequency and vibration are going to help sustain your body and heal you in so many ways.
Yeah. And I want to add one other part that is really important, whether you're coming to our retreat or you are just trying to care for yourself. Laughter is a big piece of it too. We're going to be doing a lot of great, really great mind body connected movement and nervous system resets and eating. But my intention is to also laugh until like I have tears coming down, because I don't feel that there's anything more therapeutic than that, than when you are just so joyful and just laughing, laughing, laughing. It's just so healing. I mean, from your perspective as a practitioner, what does laughter do for us as
Well,
humans?
I mean, just as you were saying, when we're talking about frequency and vibration, so all the different vibrations and emotions, like lower vibrations are those lower emotions. And so if we think about joy, joy is one of the highest vibrations we can feel. So feeling that and bringing that joy into our cells is what helps us to feel alive. And
Yeah.
all of our cells light up because our vibration and frequency rises when we have laughter. And that connection piece, the safety that comes from being around people and even people you don't even know. And I know you'll have us laughing because you're always just this big ball of joy and laughter.
I laugh at myself most
I
of the
know, but I
time.
love it.
It's like, oh, I'm
We
just
have
trying to
to,
get through
right?
life here.
We can't take life too seriously. We have to laugh at ourselves because it's not easy. And
Yeah.
like I said, what I see, in my clinic of all ages, the anxiety, the depression, the heaviness that everyone is walking around with, it's a lot, and especially for these families and what their day to day looks like. I mean, I've watched you for 20 plus years, and you're a hero in my eyes. You're amazing. It makes me emotional, and just what I see you've done for Joey and how selfless you are, and just to see that you're getting to live again with a little bit more space, and that you really know what these families feel. You've walked in their shoes, and I think that's the beautiful thing. I've hosted retreats, and I've worked with families in the school district with special needs, but I have not walked in your shoes, and what you can bring to support other families is so profound.
It helped a lot running the medical clinic for 16 years because there's such a variety of different families that came in and different needs. And it's really interesting to see the different dynamics that us as caregivers take on, and almost like the archetypes that we take on as caregivers, all the different, we're in the victimhood, we're in the martyr, we are the teacher, we are, the ruler. There's so many different archetypes that we play. The challenge is when we let the shadows of those certain archetypes just bring us down to the point where we don't have that light anymore. And I would say one of the biggest types that I have always tried to not let myself reside in very long is victimhood. Mostly there's several reasons for that. Because if you know anything about history in general, it's funny because I'm learning right now about the Revolutionary War because Joey's learning and we're
Oh,
doing
that's
a
so
lot of,
interesting.
I know, it's such a random thing to learn about.
Totally.
So I'm learning about the Revolutionary War, and Joe and I are listening and just having a good old time learning all these new things that I wish I would have paid attention to when I was younger, but I didn't. But I'm listening to like the incredibly challenging lives that these people had.
Oh,
Like,
gosh.
I mean, so beyond anything I could ever comprehend. And I'm thinking, okay, it's not easy compared to my mommy play group where, I have somebody who has a child who's typical, who's not banging their head and screaming, and they're not having to watch their child suffer. But then I think about, all of these mothers who either like died in childbirth or their child died at 2 years old, or like, it's like, and I just watch, and then like their husbands die at war. And I just think, I always tell myself, okay, do you really want to stay in that victimhood? Do you really want to play the woe is me? Because you're stronger than that. You're stronger than that. Tap into it because you're stronger than that. And it's not to say that I don't cry and struggle with my life occasionally or feel justified in having a hard day. It's just that how is it I'm going to look at it? How do I want to view this? Do I want to view this as a comparison journey, or am I going to view this as to, wow, there must be something really big that I'm learning on this journey, or just plain and simple, this just sucks. And the plain and simple, this just sucks is the part that we can identify. We can say, yeah, this isn't fun. I don't like this. But it's also, we want to step out of that whenever we possibly can and start looking for the things to appreciate. Because I can guarantee that I would not have a quarter of the friends that I have today that are so powerful and uplift me and are so great to be around if I lived in victimhood.
Well, and I think like when I'm working with clients with severe trauma, it's so important to hold the and that, we're not dismissing that these things are not true. It's this is true, and I can sit in that for a little while, and now it's time to move forward in the tools and the things that I can do to empower myself to raise my vibration and to look at life in a different way. And so it's not, I do a lot of parts of self work, which looks at the different parts of us at different ages, et cetera. And when we're looking at that, it's not to dismiss those parts because they have something to offer and they have knowledge and wisdom. So everybody, all of these things are true. And what am I going to do with this? And so that and is just so important. Not
I
to dismiss
love
what
that.
is, but not to just live in the world like nothing's happening, everything's fine. You have to hold both because
Yeah.
both things are true.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very easy to say that when I don't have Joey in the room with me who's banging his head. Okay. When you're witnessing your child injuring themselves, it is one of the most painful feelings in the entire universe. You would so much rather take that pain. But now I'm starting to learn about it so much more. That these behaviors are often ways of desperately needing to communicate certain needs and wants or challenges that they're facing. And that's actually what puts even more pressure on us as parents, because it's like, okay, this is communication. What am I not picking up on? And then it becomes even a bigger pressure. If there was any one thing, any one big thing that has been the biggest assistance to Joey's nervous system, is his diet. Diet is not the only thing. Taking a couple supplements, a medication, none of them are the only thing. They all have to be customized. And now we're supposed to customize something for an individual who doesn't communicate.
Yeah.
Is it just a matter of our intuition? Is it a matter of hearing another mom's story? Is it a matter of listening to a practitioner's idea of what it is? And it becomes all encompassing and extremely draining and extremely exhausting.
Well, because I mean, I have two children of my own, and one of my children had a lot of medical issues that John helped us with. And yeah, seeing that it's terrifying, you just want to be able to help them. And I can't even imagine not having that communication piece. And, when I worked with individuals in the schools, that's what I did. We programmed communication devices, sign language, different boards. I wish we had spelling at that point. I think it's so amazing. I can't wait to learn more
So
and
it's
see
so
Joey
incredible.
doing that. But, that's
Oh,
when the behavior is diminished is they everybody needs a way to communicate. And so yeah, I'm just so excited that there is so much more coming out.
yeah. It is, and it's all the reason that the nervous systems of the caregivers are just shot. We are trying to help our kids. We are trying to have friendships. We are trying to financially get through it all, which is insane for most of us. What insurance pays for is a joke.
It's filling from an empty cup.
Right.
And as so much of what I know about the nervous system too is that we're co-regulators with one another, and that that's why I love working with women and I love working with moms, because if I can empower and heal and support a mom when she goes back into the home, everyone around her changes. And I always say, if you want things to change in your home, it has to start with us, and myself included. The reason I was brought to this work was because my son had a dysregulated nervous system, and then realized I had a dysregulated nervous system. And I always know when he's acting up, it's because I'm running too much or doing too much, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I got to check myself. Because if we can pour
So
into
true.
us, you're going to come back. That's why I think the retreats are so magical, because when you come back into the home, it's going to be a totally different energy for everyone. And then you're going to learn things, not in a learning like a conference, but I'm going to tap into my breath. Oh, I can remember that feeling. I can go to that visualization. And those are going to be the tools to reset your nervous
Yeah.
system that you can sprinkle throughout your day. And you're going to get the 22-day nervous system reset program before.
Yeah, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so as I was working with clients, I was noticing, and there were so many things that I wanted to teach my client. And again, financially, wanted to be really cognizant of where everybody stood. So I looked at the pillars that set up for my healing and my family's healing and created a program. And so it's They say it's 21 days to change your DNA. So it's 22 days. And through that, it's self-paced, about 10, 15 minutes a day. I recommend in the morning, there are prompts. You're going to learn about your nervous system. It's going to be looking at how do we reframe our thoughts? What are the different nervous system states? What's vibration and frequency? Shifting your brainwave states more to calm states. And then there are meditations that you'll listen to in the evening that parallel whatever you learned that morning. And so you're getting to listen, you're starting to learn about interoception, which is awareness in the body. And then there's a yoga practice on there. There's reflex integration, which helps connect the primary reflexes of the body. That's something that you could do with your kids too. Reflex integration is huge for those with developmental disabilities. And so it's a workbook, but then it has the audio piece, and it's just been transformational for my clients. So then when they come in, or when everyone arrives at the retreat, but anybody could do this, your nervous system is already primed, you know the language, so then you have me there to ask questions. And if, I'm going to offer also, if people want to do any one-on-one bioenergetic healing sessions during those quiet times, or any ways that I can support people from afar too.
That's one of the things I love about it, because with the workbook, it's something that you're taking back with you, so that you're not just like, okay, here's your 48 hours of trying to calm down and now go back, and you don't have any tools. That's our goal. Our goal is to give you tool after tool after tool after tool. And I want to talk about some of these other tools as well, because once again, I want, for those who can attend, they can get your workbook online.
Yeah.
They can buy it
So
directly
they can
through
just
you.
contact me. Yeah, it's
Right.
$155. I send it to you. So, and it's cheaper than one therapy session typically. And
Absolutely.
like I said, for my clients, it has been transformational, because they are getting to do this in their own safe environment. They're getting to listen to my voice. They're priming their body for this. They're learning tools at their pace. So yeah, it's really, really powerful.
I want to talk about some of the other things that we'll be doing, and keeping in mind that at our retreat there is nothing you have to do.
No. You
There's
always have choice. From a trauma-informed individual, you always have
If
choice.
you want to stay in bed and play Candy Crush all day,
Candy
you
Crush.
are welcome to do that. I will even bring your food up to
There
you.
you go. Room service.
You could stay in the bathtub, because this house has like, what was it, like 4 soaking tubs, I think.
Oh my gosh.
So you can stay in the bathtub. I wanted to talk a little bit about the yoga and stretching and different ways that we can help physically prepare our body for all of the taxes that our lives throw on us, because we are having to lift, we are carrying, we're schlepping, we are removing children from difficult situations. It can be very, very physically exhausting. And over the years, I have had different forms of exercise. I didn't exercise for a long time. The part that's interesting to me now is because one of the first things when I got more care for Joey was that I started exercising 3 days a week. And what a tremendous difference it has in my energy level. People often think I don't have the energy to exercise, but the not exercising gives you even less energy to do anything. And the reason that it was a hitting point for me, the day that I signed up to start going to bar, which is what I do, was a day that I had Joey. I often had to go down in the middle of the night to go help him readjust, because he binds himself, and I'd have to take off his binding so that he didn't sleep with it on, and he has his joints don't get too compressed. So his room is the floor underneath mine. So I remember so clearly going into his room at like 2 a.m, me walking up the stairs to get back to my bed and stopping midway on the stairs because my body just couldn't even handle the rest of the stairs. I was so exhausted just from the fatigue. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of that flow, from whether it's yoga, whether it's stretching, whether it's taking walks, whatever it is, of why we need it to have the energy to do the things that we do?
Well, so trauma and stress get stuck in our nervous system, in our tissues, our muscles, and our fascia. And that stays in our body, which a lot of times is what I see people for, is they're having physical issues, they're having health issues, things like that. And so when we get into the body with stretching, with movement, with walking and automatic gait, well, first of all, automatic gait and walking connects our brainstem with our prefrontal cortex and gets our whole brain online. So from a nervous system perspective, that's so important. But that movement is actually finding like this gentle myofascial movement as you're unwinding all the trauma that is in your body. And so we'll be teaching things of, movement through a cat-cow, where you're getting movement through the spine and opening up your vagus nerve so that there's a flow through the body so that it can feed all the organs. So all of those things are so important. And it doesn't have to be super physical. It can be just gentle movement. And I have yoga instruction, but then I'm also trauma certified yoga instructor. And so it's really about coming into the body and how do I notice something. And if, let's say I have pain in my neck, I'm going to send my breath there. I'm going to do some gentle movement. I'm going to invite the body to release that. So there's a lot of rich language and thought processes that go along with that too, because we can get stuck just like with anything else and wake up, I am depressed, I'm depressed. I have anxiety, or my shoulders hurt. And so it's really reframing that with that gentle movement to get the flow to release from the body. And so we'll be teaching a lot on that too, because it's so powerful. And we have so much power, and our body is so intelligent and wants to work with us. We just have to figure out the pathways, the keys to open that, speak the right language to our bodies, and then we can come into alignment, harmony, and integration with the body.
And that's part of why I want to work on the food end of it as well too, to help you decrease the inflammation through your foods, because so many foods do create tremendous joint pain and body aches, and they're so inflammatory that they just create more stress onto your body, making it even more difficult. So we'll be talking, I wouldn't say we're going to be talking now. If you would like to join me in the kitchen, you will learn about that. That's what it's going to be.
Well, and I think
Because
so
I
many
don't
of
want
us,
people to think that they're going to be lectured to.
no,
I
and I think
really,
so many of us are walking into perimenopause and menopause, so we are having that joint pain, and inflammation is also something. So I think that's so powerful in so many ways. And I can't wait to learn from you.
going to be, it's going to be so fun with all of this.
I want you to
So,
talk about, though, a little bit about like some of the places that we're looking at hosting these
yeah,
retreats, and then the ambassadorship program, because I think that's really exciting for people to hear about.
let's talk about that. So it was funny. Andrea knows I was just floored when I first started talking about this retreat that we're going to do in Kansas City, and how many messages I received from all over the world, including Tokyo, which
Oh my gosh, you didn't tell me
I
that.
was like, girl,
Let's do
get us a gig in
it.
Tokyo, okay?
We're
And
going
she,
international.
she's listening
I'm
now.
ready.
No, know that it won't take much to get us to come.
Exactly.
But we had offers from all over of please come here, please come here, please come here. So there are a few people that I have reached out to, and if this is you, if you would like this to be you, definitely send me a message at Betsy at autismodyssey.org. But we're working with ambassadors who can help make it happen. Now, your responsibility is very low. We're not putting a lot of pressure on you.
No.
We need you to help us find the perfect, whether it's a VRBO, whether it's an Airbnb, whether it's even a hotel, the perfect location for us to do it in. We like the idea of doing it in houses right now so that it's just our group and we can be there. But I'm definitely open to a small hotel situation as well too. We need somebody to just kind of help connect us to the moms in that area. We also need someone to maybe pick us up at the airport, because our overhead is next to nothing on this trip. So we don't have a budget to be able to take Ubers and cabs or rent a car or things like that, and help us, like maybe take us to the grocery store before the big day, or have me be able to ship things to you in advance, and maybe even use your kitchen or a friend's kitchen so I can pre-make a few things before we actually get there, so that I can have dinner ready for everybody that night when we first arrive. So all of those things we're calling an ambassador, and they get 50% off from the fee of actually attending if they would like to be an ambassador. So if that's something that you're interested in, reach out. But let's talk about the places that we're pretty sure that we're going to be going to. So the Miami, basically southeastern Florida area is coming to fruition very soon. I have a wonderful mom there by the name of Nina, who's putting something together there. We are hoping to put something together in Scottsdale, Phoenix. That's been something we've been wanting to do for a long time too, because we almost made this trip at Scottsdale, Phoenix, simply because I felt like that gives anybody who has to fly, that gives them a nice little, because maybe they could come a day early, they could stay a day later, they can make it more of a vacation. And we like the idea, especially in the colder months, to be able to have the Phoenix Scottsdale. We definitely want to go out to the Houston area near my dear friend Tara Reynolds with Peace, Love, Autism, because she's amazing and she has so many great connections there. So we're hoping to bring it out there. We have a mom in Ohio who we're trying to work with. Was it Cincinnati or Cleveland? I can't
I think it was
remember.
Cleveland.
Okay, great. So that there's that.
And then the East Coast, right?
East Coast, so many requests for the East Coast. So we need an East Coast ambassador. We need somebody who's like, hey, my area on the East Coast, whether it's New York, New Jersey, anything out there, even Pennsylvania, anything out there on the East Coast, and you have a good area for it and a good group of moms, let us know about that too. Because
Yeah, how many people are we suggesting the amount? Like 10 to 15 is what we're
Yeah,
looking for.
yeah, we're doing groups. I think we need about 12 to 14 to 15 to make it, to be able to break even.
And even in Kansas City, we have the option for a few people if they can't stay overnight, that they can come during the day and the evening.
Right,
But
right.
obviously, when you get to stay overnight, you really get that full
I am
immersion
so excited.
experience.
We've got this great house, and which we have lots of areas to take walks in and things such as that. And yes, we're sharing, but you have the option. If you are somebody who's like, I never get away, I just want a room to myself, there's hotels 10 minutes down the road, and you can stay in a private room in the hotel and then just come join us first thing in the morning for coffee. Just come on back and go back, which I think is a great benefit. But we have rooms to share as well too. What would be great, like in Kansas City, we have a king room, which two friends would be magical in. If you do know somebody already that wants to go with you, they could share, because it's a great deal if you share the room as two friends and then you get the king room. We have we're calling it the fun room, because we're going to be like, Andrea and I feel like we're going to be like, all right, kids,
It's time to go
settle
to bed.
down. 'Cause there's it's for four different people sharing the room together, but I think it's gonna be great.
Well, that's
And
usually what happens in the retreats I've hosted. It's like everybody's staying out till midnight, and I'm like, I have to go to bed. Like, you guys can stay and talk.
I
It
know.
is just so special. Again,
And certainly if you're in the fun room and need to go to sleep, we will tell your roommates to move the party down. We'll be very cognizant of that. The other room is already sold out. We have another room that's there too. That one's already sold out. So, and the fun room is selling out quickly too. But we still have some spaces available. And then of course, to be able to come if you want to stay in a hotel and join us that way. But I am so excited. I feel like I'm going to be a kid again when I'm
I
with
know
everybody.
it's so fun.
There's
Retreats are
something about
amazing.
girlfriend time.
Yeah, and the connections. I remember one of the last retreats I hosted, everybody came and was really, nervous and quiet. And by the end, everyone's hugging and laughing and crying. I don't want to leave you. And there's just such a beautiful
Yeah.
synchronicity that happens when people get to spend time together, especially moms and moms that understand each other, and to just
Yeah.
I just want them to know that they're just going to be nourished the entire time. There's nothing for you to do but just receive. And I know for some people that's going to be harder to do, because when we're taking our nervous system from one area to the next state, but that's why that self-paced program is going to be so important. And I plan to send it ahead of time so they can prime their nervous system if they want to. Never a pressure, but I think that it's just going to be such a beautiful weekend, and we hope that everyone wants to join.
We do want you to join. And if you are interested, go to my website, Betsy on the Go, and you can see the information about the retreat right there. Andrea, what is your website? Do you have the link on your website?
Not for the retreat yet, but if they want to learn more information about me, they can go to infinitepossibilitieshealing.com.
Okay, that's great. And you are on social media as well.
Yes, it's at Andrea Arlotti, Arlotti healing, and then also at Infinite Possibilities Heal.
I will put that in the show notes so
Okay,
you
perfect.
have all of that.
And I do
Anything?
work remotely with people, so if anyone wants to do any transformation guidance work or even energy work remotely, that is something that I can do. So if they have questions, they can reach out to me on that.
That's going to be incredible because you are phenomenal.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I can't suggest enough to work with somebody who's as knowledgeable as you, but also so kind-hearted and so able to connect with all of your wonderful clients. You have clients all over the place. I know that for a fact. I'm amazed that you are being able to take away time for this retreat because I know how busy you are.
I know how powerful it is and how empowering it is, and the transformation that you see. And so it's very close to my heart, and the work that I did in the schools and now the work that I'm doing. And so it's my passion. And and to do something together, I just think, again, we have such different gifts, but then bringing those together, and we have so much also synergy together and synchronicities that we share. And so I'm just so excited to see how many more wonderful places we can go. And yeah, it's really exciting. I feel very
It's
honored.
great. And it is booking up. It is booking up quickly. We were absolutely amazed when we went live with it, how fast people started reserving their spots. So it's going to be great. I did not mention earlier that the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area was another big one. And I'm from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I would really love to do one out there. And we might be working with Beyond the Label up in Napa, but I can tell you right now, we cannot afford to stay in Napa.
Who wants to open their home? And I think they said Palm Springs too would be a great spot.
Yeah, Palm Springs would be a good one, but we'll probably go
Southern
out like
California people.
Petaluma or Santa Rosa or something that's just a tad more affordable than Napa at $1,200 a night for a basic hotel room. I mean, I can bring the wine. That's not a problem. It's just, but we don't have to be right in Napa proper.
Exactly.
No, that's going to be a fun one. And then Southern California, we had a lot of requests for that. The funny part was, girlfriend, is that nobody from Washington was like,
Oh my gosh.
oh, let's do it here. And I'm like, can we make this a little easier on me? But nope.
And that's what we were visualizing the first time, was like a lovely cabin where we can go hiking. Well, Colorado, maybe,
We did have some requests for Colorado, but I was just like, where are the Washingtonians, for darn's sake?
Well, maybe we want to get you out. We want to get you,
that's true.
Traveling more.
That must be it. That's the case. Anything else you want to add before we close this up?
No, I just want to say I'm so honored and really look forward to supporting the community afar and helping guide the nervous system and any information and anything I can offer to your listeners. I'm here.
We're going to have a blast. Thank you, everybody. And so much love to you. And we hope we get a chance to meet you soon.
Absolutely. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.